Hey, good afternoon. Well, there are two sunken ships still left at Pearl Harbor, the USS Utah and the USS Arizona. Both of them lie where they sank 80 years ago, left to the elements. We spoke to the folks in charge of preserving these historic objects to see what the future has in store for them. Submerged beneath the calm waters of Pearl Harbor, the ships are a touchstone to the past.
It's not just steel and iron sitting in water, it has a soul in some ways.
The USS Arizona and USS Utah entombed the bodies of hundreds of service members after Japanese attackers sank the ships on December 7th, 1941.
There's a feeling that you get when you're on it, and it's one of honor.
Brett Seymour is the deputy chief of the National Park Service's Submerged Natural Resource Center and has spent time diving to both ships.
You're navigating from one point to another, and you look down on the deck, and your eye, you catch something that you've never seen before, and it might be a boot, a leather boot that's laying in the sediment. It might be a fan. We've discovered shaving kits, individual shaving kits with a little razor. All of these little artifacts, as we call them, they're really just connections. They're connections to the human life.
But as important as these ships are as a connection to what happened 80 years ago, they're also impacted by the weather and the elements.
In terms of the preservation of the ship, in the harbor is starting to look at long-range planning for impacts from climate change, sea level rise, and associated infrastructure tied to the ships.
According to the National Park Service, an increase in heavy rain events has brought more sediment deposits to the harbor. Rising sea levels are corroding the USS Arizona and USS Utah at a faster rate, and there's increased strain being placed on the memorial building built over the USS Arizona.
The Arizona Memorial that sits over the ship is an iconic structure that will require probably adaptation measures as sea levels rise and as the environment changes.
But the environment has also played a role in preserving both ships.
The Arizona is in much better shape than most people would even imagine being in the salt waters of Pearl Harbor.
The harbor naturally protects the Arizona and Utah from rough weather, and coral has grown on the ships.
Coralline algae basically creates a scab, if you will, or an incrustation around the entire ship.
That keeps new oxygen-rich water from coming into contact with the outside of the ships and causing additional corrosion. And when preservationists looked inside the ships,
the inside of the ship, the water that fills the bunker spaces inside and the third and the decks, the hold and all of that, is really devoid of oxygen.
Positive preservation news for these links to World War II that the National Park Service says will likely be around for visitors well into the future.
And we want to help them connect not only with the physical remains of the ship, but the story and the context and why it's important to preserve and protect for those future generations.
2 days from now, the Navy and the National Park Service are going to be teaming up for the first ever live dive of the USS Utah. That's going to be available to watch on Facebook. You can also watch it if you come live to the Pearl Harbor Visitor Center. Guys, back to you.
All right, Max, great report. Thank you very much, sir.